People are giving me credit for good timing. I decided years ago to get out. It was a good decision, and very interestingly, it coincides with Atlantic City going down. The blaming of others for personal failure. A lot of it has to do with poor political management and too much competition. Very bad political decisions over many years. His disregard for science and the war on windmills. Wind turbines, they are terrible. They're obsolete. They ruin neighborhoods. They reduce the value of everybody's houses. They raise everyone's taxes. They're very bad. They kill the birds and hurt the environment. His prowess at gleaning free advertising from major news organizations. Want to ask a question about Turnberry, his championship golf club on the Firth of Clyde in Scotland, by any chance? It's rated the #1 course. We're going to do something amazing. The hotel is going to be one of the great hotels in the world. We will do a terrific job for the people of Scotland. Evident, too, was his wistfulness for the mythic glory days of Atlantic City, a Jersey Shore version of the sentimental nationalism he would peddle in 2016 for those who sought refuge in a misremembered past. To watch the tape back now is to be reminded of how interchangeable was his sales patter. Though the topic was his casinos, he could just as easily have been hawking Trump steaks, Trump University, Trump wine, the Trump board game, the Tour de Trump cycling race, the Trump candidacy, or the Trump presidency. Most of his boasts and rationalizations did not withstand close scrutiny. His Atlantic City business ventures were such a financial disaster they had turned him into a 6-time bankrupt. However, his answers were uttered with such complete conviction I felt sure he could have passed a lie detector test. What the camera did not record that day was Trump's roving eye. "Beautiful," was his libidinous reaction to my producer, as he looked her slowly up and down after the interview was over. It was the kind of rich man sleaziness that revealed both his shamelessness and his misogyny. The fact I let it go, and lightly laughed it off, also anticipated some of the recurring journalistic failings of the presidential campaign. A hesitancy on the part of reporters to hold him to account, a tendency to be overawed by his Trumpian aura, and a cravenness in handing over airtime to this proven ratings winner, whatever the moral outlay. Even my choice of attire that day, a white silk tie that would not have looked out of place at a mob wedding in Queens or New Jersey, showed how ingratiatingly we entered his orbit. So often it came to be said that Trump defied the laws of political gravity that this commonplace became a cliché. But were we not complicit as journalists in letting him so effortlessly achieve weightlessness? We clicked on the terms and conditions without so much as a second thought. For all his faults, I left that day with a sense he was self-aware enough to be in on the Trump joke, that his public persona was a deliberately cartoonish shtick, that the tycoon who appeared each week on The Apprentice was an exaggerated rendering of a more reasonable self, that he was laughing up his own sleeve. As for the possibility of him making a run for the White House, it never even cropped up in our conversation. The notion he could monopolize media attention, seize control of the Republican Party, upend the U.S. political system, and swap Fifth for Pennsylvania Avenue seemed risible. When the interview was over and our story went to air, I never again expected to report on Donald J. Trump, nor to mention him much in passing. Also, I left with the firm impression his best days and grandest designs were in the past. The idea that my first waking act, day after day, month after month, year after year, would be to check his Twitter feed was farcical. So I was not in the least bit perturbed, despite a long-held paranoia about missing breaking stories, to be on holiday the day he descended that golden escalator to announce his bid for the presidency. It seemed like a brand-boosting stunt, a narcissistic pseudo-candidacy, a novelty act. An entertainment rather than political story, one that might provide the lead for Access Hollywood but not the evening news, although admittedly the two are becoming harder to tell apart. The BBC did not even dispatch a camera crew to Trump Tower. In any case, within 36 hours of his campaign launch, cable news channels were consumed by the horror unfolding in Charleston, South Carolina. There, a 21-year-old had walked into a prayer meeting at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, sat for an hour during these Wednesday night devotions, and even expressed opinions about the scriptures.